Today, you'll learn thousands of English sentences you can start using in your daily speech. You might be wondering how you can learn thousands of phrases in only 15 minutes. You'll do that by learning common English patterns that you can use to form thousands of phrases. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Our first pattern is it's. So notice the subject, it, the verb to be, is, as a contraction, it's, plus adjective, plus infinitive. Now this is a pattern because you take the formula and you add a different adjective, you add a different infinitive, and from that you form different sentences. Of course, the infinitive is to plus base verb. Use this pattern to give an opinion or to make a general statement. You can literally use it every day. You might say, it's difficult to concentrate.
It's difficult to concentrate on cards.
So notice, it's, adjective, difficult, infinitive, to concentrate. It's difficult to concentrate. Let's form a completely different sentence. It's easy, the adjective easy. It's easy to forget, that's our infinitive. It's easy to forget new vocabulary. So you can add more information onto this pattern as well. And it is easy to forget new vocabulary, which is why I've summarized everything in a free lesson PDF for you. You can find the link in the description. You could say it's important, our adjective important, to prepare for a job interview. So again, you can keep going and add information to make this simple pattern more advanced. So remember, a pattern. This is a structure you can reuse with many different words. Think of it like a formula. Now, if you change the variables in the formula, you change the adjective, you change the infinitive, you can form thousands of sentences with this one pattern. For example, here are 10 common business examples and 10 common everyday examples using this one pattern. You can find these in the free lesson PDF. Let's review our next pattern. To form this pattern, we need the subject, can't believe, plus a clause. Use this pattern to express surprise or disbelief. Now, notice in the formula, the pattern, you need a clause. A clause is a complete idea. So normally a clause is a subject plus verb, and you might continue on with more information, the object of that verb. For example, I can't believe you did that.
Can't believe you did that.
I can't believe you did that. So I could be expressing shock or surprise to something my friend did or my husband did or my student did. I can't believe you did that. So subject, can't believe. Notice that pronunciation, can't believe. And then the clause, you did that. That's the clause. It's a complete idea. Let's change the variables and form a new sentence. My boss can't believe Sarah quit. So now the subject is my boss. We still use can't believe, and now you need a clause. Subject, verb, Sarah quit. My boss can't believe Sarah quit. Or we can't believe you're getting married. We could be your friends, your parents. We can't believe you're getting married. You're getting married. That's the clause. Our next pattern is the more plus clause. You already know what that is. That's one part of the pattern. The next part of the pattern is the same thing, the more plus clause. You can use this to show that one increase leads to another increase. For example, the more you practice, the more you improve.
The more you practice, the more you improve.
Now remember, you change the variables. The more X, the more Y. The more you read, the more your vocabulary expands. The more you exercise, the more energy you have. But think of how many different variables you could use. The more you exercise, the more you can think of probably 5 to 10 different ways to complete this one pattern. And that's a great exercise you can do with the free lesson PDF. Take one of the sentences I gave you and see how you can change the variables to form different sentences. Now you can also make patterns more advanced by adding information, which we saw in the first pattern. You can simply add more information about the infinitive, or by changing variables. And that's what we'll do right now. Our more advanced pattern is the comparative plus clause, the comparative plus clause. So notice here what I'm doing. Instead of more, I'm expanding it to any comparative, a comparative adjective. And this is to show that two things change together. So absolutely, remember our first structure. The more you work, the more you improve. Now, all I'm going to do is instead of more, I can use different comparatives. The harder you work, the better results you get.
Is that the harder you work as an individual, the richer you're going to get as an individual.
The less you worry, the happier you feel. The faster we solve problems, the cheaper the project becomes. And that's why these patterns are so useful. You can start with the beginner one and just use more for both, and then see how you can change those by adding different comparatives. This is a sentence my students frequently form, but I see a lot of mistakes. A pattern can make sure you have correct grammar and you're not making mistakes. The pattern is one of my favorite. All those words, one of my favorite, plus plural noun, plus the verb is, plus singular noun. Now we use this pattern to talk about one thing, which is why it's a singular verb to be, from a group, which is why the plural noun is there. One of my favorite movies, that's a plural noun. One of my favorite movies is singular verb, and then name the movie. One movie, and that's why I said singular noun at the end, because you need one. Titanic. One of my favorite teachers is Jennifer. Oh, thank you so much.
This woman, Karen Eiffel, is one of my favorite authors.
One of my favorite foods is pizza. So notice, one of my favorite, plural, singular verb to be, singular noun. Let's take this pattern, which you can absolutely use every day, and make it more advanced by changing the variables. The pattern is one of the superlative. So instead of my favorite, you're just using other words, but you need a superlative. Plus plural noun, plus singular verb. So again, instead of using the verb to be singular, you can use different verbs, singular, and then the complement. You still use this pattern to identify one thing as part of a larger group. For example, one of the best movies won several awards.
That's one of the best things I'm going to be able to teach you.
Or one of our biggest competitors launched, and then a something, a new product. And you can absolutely still use the singular verb to be with this pattern, and it's very common. For example, one of the most important skills, plural, for leaders, add more information, is the singular verb to be. Now, because we said one of, we'll list one skill. Communication. Would you agree with that? Our next pattern is subject plus future simple plus when plus subject plus present simple. And this is a mistake I hear a lot from my students, so following this pattern will fix that mistake. Now you use this pattern to talk about a future event that depends on another future event. For example, I'll call you, so future simple, I will, I'll call you when, but now we want the present simple. If you follow the pattern, which you should. I'll call you when I get home.
I'll call you when I get home.
Do not say, I'll call you when I will get home. That doesn't follow the pattern and is grammatically incorrect. But you can change the pattern by taking the last part and starting with it. So you can absolutely say, when I graduate, but notice, the action that follows when is the present simple. That's in the pattern. When I graduate, I'll buy a car. Now we have the future simple. You could say, don't worry, he'll text us as soon as he knows more. I added don't worry at the beginning of this pattern. Don't worry is not part of the pattern, it's additional information. So you can also make patterns more advanced by adding additional information to the very beginning or end or even in the middle. But did you notice I didn't use when? Now you can start with when for beginners and to get comfortable with the pattern, but you can use other words instead of when. When, once, after, as soon as are the most common. So now you can, of course, change the future simple verb, the present simple verb, and you have 4 different time references to form hundreds, if not thousands of sentences with that one pattern. Now let's take this pattern and see how we can use it in the past instead of the future. The pattern becomes subject plus past simple plus when plus subject plus past simple. So we use this to talk about 2 past actions and to show that one happened after another. I called you when I got home. I called you as soon as I got home. You can still use those alternatives instead of when. And remember, you can still start with the when clause. When I graduated, I bought a car. He texted us once he knew more. So both clauses are in the past simple. Remember, you can use when, once, after, as soon as. Remember, to express the future, you use I'll call you when I get home. Future simple combined with present simple. To talk about the past, both actions are in the past. I called you when I got home. Our next pattern is subject plus wish plus subject plus past simple. This is to talk about a present situation you want to be different. I wish I had more free time. Notice the use of the past simple. So subject, wish, subject. I wish I had more free time. Wish, you have to conjugate with the subject. She wishes her boss, past simple, trusted her more. They wish they lived, past simple, they wish they lived closer to the city. So notice, you can have a different first subject and second subject as well. She wishes her boss trusted her more. Now remember, the wish is for the present, but the verb is in the past simple. We're doing this to express the hypothetical nature of this sentence. Let's review the next pattern, which will make you sound very advanced. The pattern is subject plus not only plus verb. The second part of the pattern is but also plus verb. Now we use this to emphasize 2 actions or qualities that are both true. She not only finished the project, but also improved the process. This is a more advanced way of saying she finished the project and improved the process. So you could say, he not only speaks English, but also speaks French. So notice your verb has to be conjugated with the subject, and the verb tense is flexible depending on what you want to communicate. So in this case, we use the present simple to talk about our language. And this is a more advanced way of saying he speaks English and French. In the future simple, you could say, this project will not only save time. Notice the placement of the auxiliary verb. This project will not only save time, but will also reduce costs. So this is a more advanced way of saying this project will save time and reduce costs. This pattern is already advanced. Let's make it super advanced. The pattern becomes not only plus inverted clause. And then the second part, but also plus clause. Now this is still to emphasize two actions or qualities that are both true. What's an inverted clause? Well, we invert it. So it's auxiliary verb plus subject plus verb or complement. Let's review the examples. Not only, notice, not only is how we start. Not only did we need an auxiliary verb. Not only did she finish the project, but she also improved the process. Not only is he talented, but he's also hardworking.
Not only is he a great agent, but he really gives good meeting.
Not only will this project save time, but it will also reduce costs. I highly suggest you review those examples in the free lesson PDF and really study that pattern. Let's review those two patterns side by side. She not only finished the project, but also improved the process. The more advanced way of saying that, not only did she finish the project, but she also improved the process. Our next pattern, which will seem easy after that one, we have subject plus used to plus base verb plus noun or gerund. This is to talk about something that was true in the past, but is no longer true. You can say, I used to hate, and then a noun, public speaking.
I used to hate that place.
So notice used to, that pronunciation, used to, used to, used to. Remember, you can use a gerund verb. I used to hate, now an action, speaking in public. She used to work in finance. We used to live in the city. So we often use this structure to talk about our jobs or life situation in the past. But remember, not in the present. Now let's make this pattern more advanced by adding more information to it. We'll keep the same base pattern, subject plus used to plus base verb plus noun or gerund. And we'll add but now, because remember, the first pattern is in the past. So we're just adding the now. But now, subject, present simple. Now this is to show a change between the past and present. I used to hate public speaking, but now I enjoy it.
Well, I know I used to hate it, but I love him, so I got used to it.
She used to work in finance, but now she runs her own business. We used to live in the city, but now we live in the suburbs. So it sounds more advanced by showing what the situation is in the present. Our next pattern, there's no point in, notice that preposition is in, and then a gerund. This is to say that something is not useful. There's no point in arguing about the past, right? That's not useful. There's no point in worrying about things you can't control. That's not useful, is it? There's no point in buying a gym membership you won't use.
There's no point in buying a farm if you don't like the smell of manure.
You'll have fun with that pattern. The next pattern is very useful. Subject plus would rather plus base verb. Now I hear a lot of mistakes with this one because of the base verb that the pattern requires. This is to talk about a preference. I'd rather stay home tonight.
I'd rather stay home, really.
I'd rather stay. I'd rather stay home tonight. And notice I'm forming a contraction between the subject and would. I'd. She'd rather work remotely. They'd rather wait until next week. This next pattern is very useful in storytelling. The first thing plus subject plus did. Now, optionally, you can add on when something happened. So notice happened is in the past. Was, base verb. This is a long pattern, but it will make sense once you see it. This is to talk about the first action someone took.
The first thing I did was come looking for you.
The first thing I did was call my mom. That's the pattern without the optional information. The first thing I did was call my mom. Now, if you want to add that optional information, you can say, the first thing I did when I landed was call my mom. So notice that additional information. You could say, the first thing we did was introduce ourselves. To add on that information, the first thing we did when we got to the conference was introduce ourselves. You could also say the first thing we did at the conference was introduce ourselves. So there are other ways to express that middle information. And now you have patterns that you can use to form thousands of sentences. Do you want me to keep helping you expand your vocabulary? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.